It's time now for Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild. Stay up to date with your team all season long with Call of the Wild. With head coach and GM Bliss Littler, here's the voice of your Wenatchee Wild, Arch Ecker.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Call of the Wild. It's a playoff edition. I'm Arch Ecker, visiting with Wenatchee Wild head coach and GM Bliss Littler. The regular season has come to a close. The Wenatchee Wild have locked down the #1 seed, which provides home ice advantage throughout the playoffs, which doesn't mean much if you don't get through each round. So again, we're back to square one. Everybody's record's at 0. You got the Prince George Spruce Kings coming in here. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. But before we do that, let's talk about wrapping up the regular season with the 2 games that were played in Langley. Now, we knew that going in there, we were going to have to play them 4 times in a row at the end of the year. Played them twice at home, a couple of hard-fought games here. The Wild came out significantly on top, but they were some pretty physical battles. And so we weren't quite sure what to expect going into their building for the last 2 games. But most importantly, we came out with the 4 points and also with relatively intact.
Well, I think that was the key. Is we had to get the first 2, and we got those 2 down here and played awful well. Going up there with our position secure, their position was they're stuck in 3rd, and we both know or knew at the time who were going to play in the playoffs. I think it just came down to a little bit of pride, but I think both teams realized that even though there's not a lot of love lost between the two teams, that there are bigger things ahead for both teams. And for the most part, I think both games were relatively clean, and there wasn't a lot of dirty play.
So we started off with a Thursday night game, a little unusual, but so Thursday night up there, and you got the first goal, got things going. Matt Baker, again, that kid going to Dartmouth, I think there's good things ahead for that program with a guy like him coming into the locker room, because not only the caliber of kid he is away from the ice, but I mean, he's just really developed into a monster on the ice.
I think he's quietly one of the top 5 players in the league. I think he's that good, and I think he's someone that just very quietly goes about his business, that he's every aspect he's very good at. He's not average at anything. You start with in the locker room. He's a very quiet leader. He leads by example. He handles things the right way. He gets himself ready to go the right way. That it's very rare that he's not ready to go. So again, his preparation is very good. He prepares like he's a pro. His play is it's just level. He doesn't have the highs and lows. That it's all very consistently good hockey out of Baker, and from face-offs to all 3 zones to power play to killing him. That he just does a nice job. That he's one of our leaders, and I think one of the best hockey players in the league.
The highlight of the night, pretty much for everyone, is you came in there. If you're buying a ticket in Langley to go watch that game, you're thinking to yourself, am I going to see Charlie Combs score his 50th goal? Everybody was talking about it. I know around here we kind of tried to keep it down, not to put too much pressure on him, because he's feeling it anyway. But the buzz was on. It was around the league. It was being tweeted out all over the place. When he finally got that goal, maybe a chance for him to exhale, and everyone else around him as well.
For sure. What I'm most proud of is his 50. Is you think how many times during the season did he have a great scoring opportunity, and instead of finishing himself, he dished the puck off to somebody else. And there, I don't know how many hat tricks he had on the year. I'm sure he could tell me just like that.
4.
Yeah, he had 4, but there had to be another 4 times that he might add 2 goals, where he could have added to that. He had a great opportunity in the middle of the slot or back door, and he ended up passing the puck to Harris or to Willie, or hit a D coming in late. So he's a very unselfish player.
And his game has developed to be, he's not just a sniper, but his wheels have really grown this year, and his attack presence and the way he forechecks and backchecks. He's really become a solid 2-way player.
Well, he plays all situations. One of our leaders. He's turned himself into a very good hockey player. And initially, people when they think that his wheels are a bit slow, I know there are a lot of defensemen in the league that may have thought that. There are not many D that want to race him from the goal line to the front of the net when he's got the puck, because he's about as quick as anybody in that 15 to 20 foot range from the goal line to the front of the net, and that's one of the areas where he's extremely special.
So the Wild pick up the 4-2 victory out of the empty netter there and kind of sealed that one. So then you come down to the final game of the regular season. Also, by the way, before we get to that night, your 750th career win, and I know you tend to be a fairly humble guy, and you don't like to wave those flags around a lot. That's why I'm here to do it for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations. 750 is remarkable.
Yeah, thanks again. I've got to coach a lot of outstanding hockey players, work with outstanding coaches, and besides the players, it's probably very important that I've gotten to work for some amazing owners that have given the coach or the coaching staff the tools to go out and be successful. And with David and Lisa White, again, you came from Topeka, and you see how the kids are treated and what we're able to do for our players here. And the better you treat the players, the more you can expect out of them. And again, I've just been very fortunate to work for a lot of great owners.
It's tough to have the kind of longevity in the league that you've been able to enjoy over the years. I mean, a lot of guys get into the coaching gig, and sometimes they find out it's not for them, and others maybe they just aren't capable of doing the job. But you've had a long run. Tell me about some of the coaches that, when you began, inspired you, and people that you've drawn from to help you be a success.
Well, probably Dean Blaze. Probably he's one of the first coaches that when I was just starting out as a high school player, he was our head coach at Minot High. Dean went on to have one of the best college coaching careers of anybody ever in the United States, and he's still doing a great job at UNO. So Dean was kind of a mentor, looked up to him a lot. But there are also a lot of guys that just were in it, and like people talked about, you have to, if you want to be a successful junior hockey coach, you really have to learn to love the grind, and it really is a grind. That replacing 15 to 18 players every year, it's a grind, and so you have to get a great staff, and you have to learn to love the grind. But I'd probably say that guys like Mike Hastings, who had a long career with the Omaha Lancers. Now he's at Minnesota State Mankato doing a great job in college. Probably Mark Carlson. Guys that they've done it extremely well. And Mark Carlson is still in Cedar Rapids, had kind of a career like me, that just a long-time junior hockey coach. And those are probably the three guys that come to mind. But there are other guys along the road that you talk to. That you kind of gravitate to people that are a little bit like you, and not in all regards, but that love the grind. Ex-Wild coach John Buchanan. Again, we don't. There are a lot of things that we don't always agree on systems and how things are done, but we agree in the process of how to get there. Even to Scotty Langer, I kind of like what he's done when he was in Topeka, and now he's in Aberdeen. Don Knockbauer over in Spokane, Kevin Constantine. I mean, there are a lot of guys that you take bits and pieces how people do things. And Jeff Blashill, when he was in Indiana, and now he's with Detroit. But there are a lot of coaches that that I look up to, that you find out if they respect your work, that when you start talking, that coaches are pretty free with information and how they do things. And I've always tried to take the best things from where I was at before and add them, and the best things other people are doing, and try to incorporate them into how we do things here.
Well, I'm sure it's certainly a fraternity that's built on mutual respect and trust, and guys are proud of what they've learned and are very comfortable in sharing with people that they know are of a like mind.
For sure. I mean, at this level, I just think it really comes back to, you got to learn to embrace it or enjoy the grind, and putting a new group together every year. It's a great challenge, and I probably didn't bring up PK O'Hanley in Waterloo. He's done it forever too. They're just a lot of guys, and the longer you do it, you kind of figure out who's going to be successful and who the short timers are, where guys come in and they cheat and they take a lot of shortcuts. You know that they may have success for a couple of years, but if they don't change, that it's going to be hard to have success doing things when you take shortcuts. And you kind of gravitate to the people that do things what I would say is the right way.
You talk about the grind. A 58-game season is a grind for anyone, for players, for staff, for anyone. Of those 58 games, you got a handful of guys that managed to play in all 58 games. Talk about how special it is for a player to be able to achieve that.
Well, it's definitely something that's not easy, that you have to be willing to show up and suit up, even when you don't feel 100%. And by this time of year, nobody feels 100%. But the guys that we had that made it through, they're all veteran hockey players that do a good job working with the trainer, making sure that they're doing all the little things off the ice, whether it's cold tub or it's contrast training, pool therapy, what they're putting in their bodies, hydrate, getting the proper amount of rest, foam rollers, just all little things to get their muscles where they're feeling good enough where they can go out there and play. And we really had a fourth one in Brendan Harris. That Brendan played every game except for game 58, and he was the one guy that we gave the night off to. That I thought after 4 years he may have deserved a night off. So, but I look at him as one of the Ironmen too. That they made it through the year, and I think it's pretty special to be able to do that. That you have to do a lot of the little things right off the ice to get your body in that position to be able to suit up for all 58 games.
So Friday, final game of the regular season, Matt Baker got you started off again with a big goal. And for the second night in a row, then Langley kind of tied it up, and you had to fight to regain the lead once again. One of the guys that had a fantastic game was A.J. Vanderbeck. Not only scoring goals, but his playmaking and the things that he does away from the puck that are just spectacular and sometimes unnoticed. Not by staff, unnoticed by the fans.
Well, I think A.J. in the last 5 to 7 weeks has turned himself into a much more complete hockey player. That somebody is going to get one heck of a hockey player in college. That him and Brian Williams. I don't know if there's a better uncommitted forward in North America than those two kids, and in what AJ's been able to do, the warts that were part of his game, he's slowly but surely eliminated them. Check that box that he finishes more bumps, competes hard in all three zones. He's just checking the boxes off, and it's just a matter of time for him, and he's going to have a commitment at a big time place.
And the last thing to touch on for the weekend in Langley, you used both goaltenders. You had Yamnitsky played on Thursday and Cooley played on Friday. And both goaltenders turned in very solid performances against a Langley team that really comes at you.
Absolutely. That I know when you take a look at the scoreboard, it may have looked like they're a little more one-sided than the games were. And I mean, we got an empty netter on Thursday. And, both nights, our goaltenders early on had to make several key saves. And if Langley gets up a couple goals, it's a different game. And we're fortunate that both goalies are playing very well right now.
Even though the Wild had already locked down the Ron Boylo Memorial Trophy for the #1 seed, locked down the mainland division, the whole deal, still one thing, the little carrot dangling out there on the final game was the possibility of having the best record in Wild history. And we were 1 point shy of that, of tying it. So we needed the win to move forward and have the best record all time, and able to accomplish that as well. And, And I know there's a lot of work to be done with the playoffs coming up, but at least for a moment, a chance to reflect on what that means to the franchise.
Well, when you brought that up, I think you brought it up after Thursday's game, which the veteran play-by-play man that you are, that, hey boys, you've had a nice year so far, but let's get one more. Where you had to, you kind of threw that out there to Clarkie, and just a little more motivation to finish off with another W. But again, Wenatchee, over the 9 years, they've had a lot of very good hockey clubs here, and I don't know if you can compare if it's apples to apples anymore. But on paper, one team had 93 points, and gave us an opportunity to get 94, and again, there weren't any boxes that this group hasn't checked through the regular season. I mean, it seemed like you were starting early January, starting to rattle off career or season bests for records, and there weren't too many weeks after that first week of January that there wasn't a box that was checked for a new record. So again, for this group, I think that's awful special. Maybe we'll sit down in June sometime. We'll go out and have some dinner, and as a staff, and we'll say, you know what, that's pretty cool and that's pretty good. But right now, I think all of us want to keep from having the players get fat and happy. That we want to, like Troy Conzo, when he scores, he does the feed me. That we're hungry. That you want them to stay hungry in the playoffs, and like I say, getting through Prince George. They're a very worthy opponent, and again, we just flat out need to keep the same approach, that not making anything too special, but keeping the same even keel, that we need to have this type of effort every single night, and not worry about winning 16 games right now. We need to concentrate on winning the next game, and then you do that, then it'll be game 2, and if we're fortunate, then you advance and you worry about the next group. But right now, we need to keep our kids hungry, and with the focus on Prince George.
And that playoff series kicks off this weekend. We'll talk more about that in just a moment when we return. Back with more of Call of the Wild on your Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network. And welcome back to Call of the Wild Playoff Edition, as the Wenatchee Wild are set to kick off Round 1 of the BCHL Mainland Division semifinals, taking on the Prince George Spruce Kings, and the series begins on Saturday at 7:05 and then continues with Game 2 on Sunday at 5:15 here at Town Toyota Center. Now, Coach, the Prince George Spruce Kings, as you talked about, let's take a look at them now. Over the course of the year, a sort of a parallel with Langley, in that they kind of started off with maybe not the best push, had a couple injuries early on, kind of hit their stride, and as they moved on, they definitely became a stronger hockey team as the year went on. And, they're a team that's got some veteran leadership. We've talked about that before last time they were here. Their captain, of course, he held the Royal Bank Cup last year with West Kelowna, and he's not the only one. There's a couple of guys there. So they are a team that can certainly rise up, and they bring a lot of firepower too.
Well, they're the team that system-wise matches us the most, and they've frustrated us during the season. We've been fortunate that we've had some bounces go our way where we've been able to get off to very good starts, and when you're able to do that, a lot of times you're able to add on to a lead, and it goes your way. But we know that we're going to be in for a pretty good battle here, and I'm sure their goal is to initially come in here and try to wrestle home ice away. So they'll come in and do what they have to do, and our job is to hold serve. Hold serve here. We've been good in the building, and as a staff, we just need to make sure that we show a lot of respect for the team that's coming in to play us. That they've given us fits at times throughout the year, but we need to stay to the plan. That no need to change anything, but stay to the plan. And if we can do that, I think we'll have a good chance.
8 days between the final game of the regular season and game one of the playoffs. There's two different schools of thought on it. For some, it might be a chance to rest and get ready and be strong and healthy moving into the postseason. And for some, they may look at it as, it's kind of tough. A body in motion stays in motion, and when you stay out of game mode for 8 days, that can be counterproductive. What's your gut instinct on that?
Well, we do have 8 days, so I'm going to take the approach that it's good to try to heal up a few nicks and bruises and be ready to go. The other way, it does no good to complain about it because it is what it is, and we're going to use that time to heal up a little bit as best we can, and then in practice we'll do what we normally do as far as a lot of competitive small games and work a lot of skill and continue to try to develop hockey players and get better and be ready when we hit the ice Saturday night.
Because this team is so heavily laden with veterans and guys that have been around for a long time and so much skill, that kind of allows you the luxury of being able to truly approach games with the standpoint of we're going to do what we do and we're going to focus on us and do it best. Sometimes when you're a little more challenged with what you have to work with in that area, you have to start tailoring your games to your opponents maybe a little more. Do you find that to be true?
For sure. I mean, no doubt that's for sure. But we don't always do it. And there's goaltending, and you have that pesky other team that they're trying to win hockey games also and get scholarships. But we know that for us to be successful, that we need to be aggressive. We need to be on the offense and finish our bumps with the D and doing our best in in-zone offense and being disciplined. And we have a formula that we feel it works for us. And I'm sure that Prince George will try to disrupt that formula the best they can. And if we have to adjust, we adjust. But for the most part, we need to do what's been successful for us so far. And if we can replicate that, I like our chances.
For the Wild, the promotion that goes on through this weekend through the first round of the playoffs is something we've called Blue Out, and that's where we've asked all the fans to show up wearing blue, whether it's blue jerseys, T-shirts, jackets, towels, whatever you got, anything blue, bring it, and we'll try to create a little bit of that extra atmosphere. Is that a promotion that you've seen or had as part of in your coaching career?
Well, I don't know that a Blue Out. In Omaha, we were the Flyer color, so we wore a lot of orange.
Well, sure.
And black,
but a colored theme out.
Yeah, we've had white out and blackouts where we've been, but I encourage everybody to wear your blue, and again, hopefully we can make this building that much more intimidating. Where it's been a great building for us to play in this year, and let's see if we can make it just that much more intimidating.
I think one of the benefits of it, and I've seen it at the NHL level when the LA Kings would do a blackout, for example, but it really helps unite the building, not only just throughout the fans, but it helps them connect with the players as well, and it just becomes this symbiotic relationship between players and fans, and that energy swells together, and it's really a great opportunity for this weekend.
Yeah, again, let's show our spirit, and again, let's again, start building this momentum as the playoffs begin here Saturday night.
This last week of practice and preparing for the playoffs, which way do you focus more? Is it more on flow or battles, or what's your approach in preparing for round one?
Well, a little of both. We targeted last week any system things that we need to just brush up on. But for the most part, our guys, we know what we're doing there. But we'll touch on a few things there. But today we'll come out, and there'll be a little bit of flow at the start, and then we'll finish with a four-station circuit where they're in small spots on the ice and working on individual skill. Tuesday will be a little bit more system orientated with some battle. Wednesday we'll take the afternoon off the ice, but we'll take care of all the video this week will be taken care of on Thursday or on Wednesday. We'll get back after it Thursday with a little bit more of special teams theme, along with small games. And then Friday we go back to what we've done all year. Come out, 2 warm-up drills, 1 system deal, whatever we think that, whether it's a PK, D-zone coverage, something on the power play maybe, just one drill though, and then we do 4 small games. And we get the kids competing and get them into battle mode.
Should be a fun week, and it's always extra exciting when the playoffs come around for everyone throughout the organization. We're all looking forward to it. Again, that's Saturday, 7:05, Game 1 against Prince George. Sunday is Game 2 at 5:15. Wear your blue. Come on out and support the team. Tickets are on sale now. $10 tickets. Group tickets can be $5, and if you buy a whole mess load of them, like 50, we'll give you another 50 tickets free for a future game. It's an unbelievable deal. Give us a call here at the Wild office, and we'll get you hooked up. So that's going to wrap it up for this week as we head into the playoffs. I'm Arch Ecker. This is Bliss Littler. Have a great week, everyone.
You've been listening to Call of the Wild, the official weekly coaches show of the Wenatchee Wild, a presentation of the Wenatchee Wild Hockey Network.